You know that feeling you have when, despite lifting weights, you occasionally catch yourself in the mirror looking less than impressive. The reality glares at you over and over again over weeks and months. You know it's time to lose some weight, but you also know that it's going to be a long path of energy restriction and letting go of some of the things you enjoy the most in life. You keep telling yourself that you'll do it eventually, and that right now you're just focusing on gaining strength and size. But deep down, you know the truth. Currently, you're just using lifting as an excuse to completely disregard your health and to pig out on food. Then, at some point you realize you didn't start lifting to be like that, or to look the way you currently do. You started lifting to be stronger and to feel good, but to also look good. And now you want to reconnect with that. Well, I had this exact epiphany in February of this year after being fatter and less fit than I would have liked for multiple years at that point. Sure, I had some successful weight losses in that period, multiple in fact, but they never got me far enough to really make a major difference, and I always gained the weight right back. But this time I wanted to go further. And I did. Instead of losing 10 kilos like I usually do, I lost 17. And instead of doing it in a few months and bouncing right back, I did it in 30 weeks, or just over half a year, with a moderate pace of weight loss and with absolutely no cravings or lethargy at the end of it due to never feeling particularly restricted. I stepped on the scale at 100 kilos and now I'm 83. I began this journey with a 94 centimeter waist measurement, and now by the end of this it's 79, so a 15 centimeter or a 6-inch reduction. Neck was initially 40 centimeters and now at the end it's 38 centimeters. My chest measurement was 120 centimeters in the beginning, and now by the end of it it's 111. My arms were 42 centimeters when I started, and now by the end they are 38, so lost a bit of mass there, probably just fat though.
Ooh. That's kind of small.
My legs were 75 centimeters when I started the cut, and now after finishing it, they are 63 centimeters, so almost the same reduction as with my waist. Now, I didn't plan on doing this for 30 weeks when I started. I actually planned on doing this for about 12 to 16 weeks. But the reason I continued for this long was that I actually enjoyed it and all the effects the fat loss had on me. Losing weight is often seen as a less than ideal state of existence because you're restricting your energy intake, letting go of some dietary and social freedoms. But weight loss is actually the period where you can make the fastest positive changes to your body and overall well-being. You look noticeably better month to month, you feel lighter and healthier, your mobility, agility, endurance and work capacity improve due to carrying around less useless mass, your strength to body weight ratio improves considerably, and your relationship with food improves provided you don't do anything stupid and unsustainable. And once you start eating at maintenance level or even a little bit higher again, you have an additional strength rebound from refilling your glycogen stores, gaining back any muscle mass you might have lost, and generally just having better energy availability, allowing for a better training output. So if you currently have some fat to lose, don't consider weight loss a burden. You should instead consider it an opportunity to make some of the fastest positive changes to your health possible. For me, this weight loss process involved no massive changes of any kind, only small and doable ones. I only ate foods I truly enjoyed, just a little bit less in quantity, and trying to make better choices within that window of enjoyability. I allowed myself to eat more on days when I really felt like it, but never binged, and I took advantage of busy or low appetite days by eating less on those. On average, I ate exactly 2,700 calories per day during this whole journey, and some of you might think that's a huge amount for someone who's losing weight, but that's because I was also very active. I of course lifted weights 4 days per week, with my training being heavily centered around the big lifts like squatting, pressing, deadlifting, rowing and chinning. But after I started tracking my steps on week 7, I walked 14,388 steps per day on average through the course of this whole weight loss. For the first 6 weeks I wasn't even tracking my steps, probably getting around 2,000 to 3,000 per day. Then on week 7 I started tracking them and got around 6,000 per day, and slowly moved up from there as I got more and more accustomed to walking and actually really started enjoying it. By the 3rd month, I was walking 15,000 steps per day regularly, and eventually even had a few weeks where my average was over 20,000 steps per day. I think that's a bit excessive though, and you really don't need to do that. You'll do very well with something like 8,000 to 12,000 steps a day. This high level of activity and the moderate pace of weight loss are what allowed me to eat much more and thus not feel particularly restricted at any point. I usually started the day with just a protein shake and then had 2 really large meals later on in the day, or sometimes 3 moderate ones. After the first 2 months, my average daily energy intake and activity remained fairly consistent all the way to the very end. But obviously, as my body weight kept decreasing, my maintenance calories also decreased. Thus, I lost about 0.8 kilos of weight per week for the first couple of months, then 0.6 kilos per week for the next few months, and finally about 0.4 kilos per week for the last couple of months. This was actually a very good thing and something I never actively fought against, because the less fat your body has, the less weight you can lose per week without losing lean mass in the process and feeling absolutely terrible. Now, I understand that productive training and the acquisition of muscle mass does require a calorie surplus at the point where I am in my training, but from now on I'll do much more conservative massing phases with a surplus of no more than 200 calories per day and with shorter but more consistent weight loss phases. So, no more getting fat. I've made the mistake way too many times in my life where I think that just because a training session was really hard, I now require 1,000 extra calories over my maintenance afterwards. It does not work like that beyond your first few months of training, and even then, it only works if you're essentially in an underfed state and really skinny. In the next few months, I will still make several more videos about this whole journey and different topics I thought about during that time. I'm particularly interested in finding out where my peak strength levels are at this lower body weight, but I'll only know that once my training progresses further and I've been eating more for a while, regaining any lean mass I might have lost during the cut, as well as getting used to this body weight, so this will take a few months. For what I know right now, my strength has decreased very little, and on some exercises like the barbell row for example, it hasn't decreased at all, and my relative strength has improved by around 5 to 15% depending on the lift. Anyway guys, this marks the end of this 30-week weight loss journey. Thank you so much for following along, and I'll see you in future videos. Cargo Truck, out.